Tuscaloosa Language Arts. Welcome to our first Writer's Corner. Today we're going to talk about how to cite evidence. I know everyone, all of your teachers, Mrs. Leinebach, Mrs. Klugel, and myself, Ms. Orlando, we've been teaching you guys and showing you your citing evidence scales. So you kind of know what's coming up here, but now after we've talked about the vocabulary and everything, now we're going to go ahead and chat with you about exactly what we need to do to cite our evidence for inferences and etc. So our learning goal for today is I want you guys to be able to provide citations for textual evidence found to support inferences and claims, guys. And in English, all we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for proof in a text to support conclusions that we draw and ideas that we have. So let's go ahead and move it right along, get this party started. So why do we need evidence? Good question. So if you haven't noticed, we have a little theme going on in our lesson today. Sherlock Holmes. Hopefully, some of you guys have seen the movie or read the books. Awesome character. But what I want us to go ahead and look at here is he's a really cool way to kind of learn about citing evidence because he loves evidence. He's a detective, and you guys are kind of like detectives today too, looking at your stories, and you're going to be looking for evidence as just like him. So I've got a couple cool quotes here. Data, 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 he cried impatiently. I can't make bricks without clay. His whole job is evidence. That's all he needs. And without evidence, he can't really draw any conclusions, just like you. So that's why we need evidence. We need to be able to prove our ideas and inferences. And we also need to be able to support our inferences with the facts and experts. Also realize that without evidence, if you are making an inference, it's really just a guess. It's not really an inference. And guesses aren't really what we're all about here in language arts. We want to be able to prove what we say and what we argue on our essays and in our short responses. So that's really why we need evidence. It's super important to be able to prove what we say and what we think. All right. So how do we cite our evidence? There are two ways to cite evidence, guys. We've got our embedded citations. So citations are seamlessly part of the sentence. I know it sounds like those citations are tired, they're in bed, but you can kind of think about it like that. It's just a citation that is inside the sentence. It's inside the covers of the sentence. But then we also have a parenthetical citation. This is a citation that is kind of antisocial. It's away from the sentence. It's not actually inside of it, and it's enclosed in parentheses at the end. So let's go ahead and just take a closer look at both of these. We've got ways to use embedded citations, so let's talk about those first. Here's our formula. We've got in purple or pink, smooth transition. That's the first thing we need. Then we need a source number. Then we need a comma, and that's in red there. Then in green, we've got a paragraph number, another red comma, and then orange quote or somebody else's ideas. That's how you're going to be doing that. Now let's see an example here, just so you can see what I'm talking about. I know it's probably a little easier to see it as the example. So we've got the author stated. That's going to be our transition. That's just telling us kind of what's coming up in the sentence. There are a bunch of different transitions. You'll be getting a list from your teachers, and not today, but another time, and you'll kind of see all the different options. There's lots of cool transitions you can use for these citations. Then in blue, you're going to go ahead and do the source number. So each text that you read, guys, they're going to have source numbers. So sometimes you have multiple texts to write about. So you'll go ahead and write the source number. Then you're going to put a comma. That's very important. We want it. Punctuation is super important. Then we're going to put in green the paragraph number. So your paragraph numbers should be numbered, or you can just count them if they're not. Then we've got another comma. And then we've got a quote here, whatever the other person was saying. This one says Sherlock Holmes was the best detective in the world, right? So that is really how it works. You're actually putting that citation, where to find this evidence in the sentence itself. And you can kind of see another example down here. We've got according to source 3, comma, paragraph 2, comma, quotation. There are so many detectives, it's difficult to pick the best. Okay, so that in a nutshell is how to use embedded citations. We are going to go over this a little bit more in detail as far as those transitions part, but the rest of it is pretty easy to see there. Okay, if you would like, you can always pause this this little tutorial and take some notes on this if you'd like. So that's up to you. But this is something we're going to be expecting you to be able to do. All right. One more thing about embedded citations, we always want to make sure, and punctuation matters. This is our tip to remember. Always put a comma between the source and paragraph number, and the period always has to go on the inside of the quotation mark. So you can kind of see down here, we put the punctuation in red. So it says, according to source 3, comma, paragraph 2, comma, then we've got our quotation. There are so many detectives, it's difficult to pick the best. You guys see that the period is before the quotation mark. That's actually super important. So just remember that. And also, like I said before, your teachers will have some smooth transitions for you guys. These are just some options here, but we will be giving you guys a list at some point. So, all right, so that is embedded transitions. Let's move it right along to parenthetical citations. It was embedded citations. Now we're moving on to parenthetical citations. All right, so here's the deal. Here's our formula, another color-coded formula for you guys. It's a quote or somebody else's idea. So in the sentence, you've got your quote. And then after the quote, I wanted to point out there's no period there. You've got your parentheses before, so your period's at the very end, the last parenthesis. Just want to point that out. But we've got a parenthesis. Then we've got the source, okay, so the source number again. We've got a comma, and then the paragraph number. So that comma is really important too. We're always putting a comma between our source number and paragraph number inside those parentheses. And then the closing parentheses, and then the period. Okay, so that is what a parenthetical citation looks like. And here are some examples so you can see. So we've got our quotation at the very beginning. Then we've got our parentheses, then a source number, a comma, and a paragraph number, and then another parentheses and our period, okay? So that's what a parenthetical citation is. You guys understand that, like parenthetical, parentheses, get it? It kind of makes sense, right? And then we've also got there are so many detectives, it's difficult to pick the best. This is another example, and then it'd have parentheses, source 3, comma, paragraph 2, ending parentheses, and then a period, all right? So this is another one that you could pause this and you guys could take some notes on how this works because you will be asked to do this in the next few days. So you'll wanna know this. All right, parenthetical citations. Last thing to talk about with this. Again, punctuation matters. Please put that comma between the source number and paragraph number, and make sure that period's on the outside of the parentheses. Just another reminder of that.